Welcome to Medieval Kingdom Wars. In this video I'm going to continue my first look at the new tutorial that was released on the 12th of October 2018 if you're watching this in the future. If you're familiar with the game, I think we can all accept that the first tutorial that was released was quite weak. This tutorial certainly covers things in a lot more detail. And we're just going to come in here. Here we are on the tutorial screen, and you can see the tutorial is split up into 9 parts, which consists of a mixture of cinematics and guided tutorials. The first one is a cinematic, the second one is the basics of combat and army movement. This one then follows up with moving the army across the world map, and then we finished up with a sea battle, which I think was a very useful addition to the tutorial, because sea battles are quite difficult to obtain on the world map, and when you get your first one it can be a little bit confusing. In this part, what I want to do is cover this part 5, which deals with basic city building, and then we're going to do another battle of a siege, and I think we'll probably get as far as before the storm. And then in the last part we're going to do quite a major battle, which is the defense of Orleans, and then we got a cinematic at the end, which is an epilogue. So what we're going to do is just come in here. What I will say before we get into the actual video, the tutorial is quite verbose with the way it goes, but I think if you're new to the game, it's quite worth watching those cinematics, because it gives you a bit of background story to the game and other elements. The second part is that the game only has one save, and it auto saves at regular intervals. In the tutorial, the save game always takes you back to the beginning of the part that you were in at the time you quit out of the game, because that's how you save. You quit back to the main menu or quit. So bear that in mind when you're actually playing the tutorial, that if you quit in the middle of something, it will always take you back to the beginning of that section. It's also worth noting that once you've completed one of these sections, you can always go back and do it again. So if you want a bit of practice fighting battles, I mean, you can just come back and click on any of these and refight the battle, just get a bit of experience and practice. Anyway, so we're just going to go in and play.
The lords returning to their estates in France had to commence preparations at once to join the king's crusader fleet at Marseille, be it destined for Holy Land, England, or hell itself. Many lords' estates were in disarray, however, with high upkeep and low crop yields angering the peasantry. Some estates, like Orleans, were on the verge of open rebellion and would deny entry to their liege lord. Count Guy de Chatillon had his work cut out. If he were to join the Crusader fleet, he would need to calm the populace of Orleans, while trying to regain his entire home province of Blois, with all its hamlets. Only then would he have a strong enough power base for future adventures.
Now that these pirates have been dealt with, let us continue our journey home, my lord. I pray thee land at the friendly French port of Calais, from where we will have only a short march home.
So here we are on the world map. It's time to meet your advisors. Your lordship's court can hold up to 6 advisors, each helping with an aspect of the government. To easily locate your army of the world map, click on the portrait at the bottom right of the screen to open the Marshal Advisor window, and then select your army's name in the list on the left side and choose to locate your army. Now that is quite an interesting statement where it says 6 advisors, because currently there's only 4, and I do wonder whether there's a hint there of future development there, that the overall strategy of the game development is planning 6 advisors, and that's going to be quite interesting to follow.
I am the hammer and thy hand.
The army location screen is actually split into 2 parts. The one on the left is friendly armies, the one on the right is hostile armies. So clicking on these will take you to locations of armies that are moving around, but of course we're going to follow the tutorial and we're going to click on that, and you can see this now actually comes up to here, and the X is being provided on the mini map to bring you here. And what you can do is just click here. What should happen is this army goes this way. I'm just going to close the mini map, and now you don't have to land in Calais. You can see Calais' got an anchor there, which shows it as this. Says, remember to increase your game speed. Yes, well, we'll just bump the game speed up. So just give them a level 3. And yeah, the army or the navy that turns into an army or an army that turns into navy will always choose the embarkation disembarkation point of there. And this is one of the curiosities of the game, that armies can walk straight through the settlements. I think it's just to do with the pathing of the game. And we're just going to bring this army down. I mean, we can...
Any damned fool can navigate the world
bring
sober.
it there.
Just try to do it drunk, my laird.
Okay.
Carricks to the 4 corners of the earth, if you so
My
desire.
liege, it's as bad as we thought. Happiness in Orleans has fallen greatly. The mood is rebellious. They'll deny you entry. But look, someone is riding towards us. Well, God's nails, it's your trusted steward. You two should catch up while I drain some tankards and keep a good plump lass company. Till you're ready to lead your armies again, my liege.
I think who's writing the narration of this is really getting into the medieval world anyway.
Thank the blessed saints I found thee amidst the madness overtaking the city. I hear you suffered a concussion, my liege. So, just to remind you, if I may, I am thy trusted steward of many years. And if you're ready, I'll advise you on the state of affairs and actions we must take. What is it you'd like to accomplish?
I actually quite like that story thread where they're... And it begins in the first part where they say that you've been knocked unconscious and effectively lost your memory, so you've got to relearn everything all over again. Doesn't matter which one of these you chose.
Very well, my lord. It won't be easy, though. During your absence, our neighbor, Count John of Maine, defied the king's peace and reclaimed his hamlet of Tours that we'd held for several years. And he didn't stop there. He raided our borders and captured our hamlets of Romorantin and Bourges. Plus, the citizens of Orleans are on the brink of rebellion. Indeed, English loyalists in Anjou may be conspiring with Count John and could join him in an assault on Orleans.
There we are. Just click this through.
My liege, you must restore order in Orleans. With the trade goods your worship has captured, we can research the advancements needed to construct a church. People like churches. Then, moving some of your veteran troops from your army to Orleans should encourage them to behave. Finally, lowering the tax rate and getting rid of the stone mine building should help. I shall jot all of this down for you in your objectives.
There we are. And what should happen is we will get the objectives here. So we've got to complete everything since by August 1336. We must move several battalions to the army. I mean, that's quite straightforward.
Midships, my laird.
It says here, move units between armies and towns, select your army and then right click on the nearby town, or use transfer units button to select army and now select units there. So basically what we do is we come in here and we'll just, and what you can do is just transfer some over. We'll just do it. It doesn't really matter how many. I think that should be enough. And it says here, set your Orleans tax rate less to 30%. So we need to just click on here, and the tax button is down the bottom here. It says here, this is the town screen. It shows the town garrison buildings and town information just above the Lord's portrait. Town happiness is affected by several factors: city buildings, garrison strength, research technologies, and tax rate. Click the plus minus symbols to adjust the tax rate. Demolish the excess stone mines. Click on the building icon and select and demolish option. So we can do here, we'll just demolish this. I don't think it actually makes a lot of difference which way it goes. I'm keeping the level 5 stone mine, which I think is what they're hinting at. And I think we've got to get the tax rate down to under 30%. Don't worry too much about income of this icon because this is a scripted tutorial. We've now got to unlock the church buildings through research in the steward's menu, so we can obviously come out here. We're just going to come to the student.
What affairs of
Steward, what am I saying? Student. It says the steward advisor is in charge of improvements and researches most buildings. Unit abilities are unlocked using trade goods. There is a total of 120 technologies in the research tree in 12 categories and 3 pages. The trade goods counter is located on the top of the menu. Today we need to unlock cloistering in the church research category. Since it's the 5th in the research line, you must unlock other 4 technologies in the tree first. All 4 of these technologies will improve the overall happiness of these Orleans. So we need to come through here. And there's church, and I think the one we're aiming for is cloistering, so we need to unlock this one. And they've given us enough resources to actually do this, so... And we can click on that and unlock that. And this is... unlock that one, and we're just going to unlock that one. And we've now unlocked this, and you can see here the symbol on the left hand side of the bottom list actually shows that we can build a church. So if we come back to here, it says build a church in Orleans, so we can come here, and it says now that cloistering has been researched, select the town of Orleans on the right hand side menu, construct a church. Remember, building slots are sorted by proximity to the town centre, with the top left building slots are near the manor, while lower slots are closer to the outer walls. Going to build a church here, and that completes this step of the tutorial.
Soon the mood in Orleans should improve. Now we must construct war buildings and recruit soldiers if we are to recapture our hamlets. Usually I would advise thee to enter the town to manage construction and recruitment directly, without spending valuable silver. Alas, we can't wait for that. Luckily, quite a bit of tax revenue has accumulated, so let's put it to good use, training some troops, and take back Bourges and Tours. I'm afraid Romorantin is too well defended for now, but we'll get there.
Right, quick comment about that statement. What the steward is actually referring to is there's 2 ways to build buildings in Medieval Kingdom Wars. You can pay silver, which is what we're going to use in the tutorial, or you could go into the settlement. And what they've actually done is they've locked out the ability to go in and build the buildings on the city map, although later in the tutorial when you fight a siege you get a chance to actually learn that. So I think what they're trying to do is keep the tutorial a bit focused. And all your towns and hamlets, it depends on the size of the towns and the tax rate. You can collect the tax revenue individually on the town screen, or click to collect all taxes buttons on the silver counter at the top left. And I think what they actually want you to do is that, so it'd be easier just to do that. And it says here we've now got to construct a barracks, archery range, or stables. But I think what you can do is if you just build the barracks, it will trigger it. These buildings are constructed instantly on the world map. This consumes valuable silver. Yep, I think we've already experienced that when we built the church, so I think we'll be okay. And it says we've got to recruit 12 battalions into your army. Now, there's 2 ways you can do recruitment. You can come in here and recruit the units in the settlement and then transfer them to the army, or if your army is actually stood right next to a settlement like this, it says an army can recruit units from nearby towns. To recruit soldiers, click on one of the empty slots in the army town interface. Units availability depends on the unlocked technologies and buildings constructed in the given town. Let's spend some silver to recruit a few dozen units into your army. Later on in the game, we will recommend that you enter the town in order to recruit troops without spending silver. What that is referring to is that when you can enter the town, you can actually go in, click on the military buildings and recruit directly, and that uses resources as opposed to silver. And what we can do is we're just going to recruit the units directly, and it says here we need 12 troops. We can't, so I think what we're going to do is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to get 7 out. 2, 3, and I could get a monk, but they're quite expensive and I don't want to do that. And I think we'll just top up with some macemen. I think that should be it. Forgotten how many troops I've actually recovered. I was just be cheeky. I don't.
Ready to sit
So we've got a full-size army. I think that's more than 12.
Reporting for duty, my lord. Nothing lifts the spirit like some good siege warfare. The mood in Orleans is better too. Lads in the pubs are praising thy name. To battle then. That fool Count John has left both hamlets of Bourges and Tours undefended. I would usually advise against auto-resolving such battles, but in this case, we can't lose. Let's to it. But wait, your Chancellor approached me while I was drunk, said something of importance. Oh, the hell with it. To war!
Okay, do ask by challenger, so we're just going to click that through. To attack a hamlet or town, move your army towards it, right click on the target, or you can use the attack button on the army interface. You can either fight in real time or auto-resolve, but be wary of trying to auto-resolve without a strong advantage on your side. If the army is twice as strong as your target, your units will sustain very little damage. While you can attack any target, diplomatic relations must be considered. They always drop during a siege and increase it with the field battle. Bring the army over here. And I'm just going to speed up a little bit. And once we get close enough, we're able to click the attack town. There is a range, and if I stood halfway between two enemy settlements, it gives you an option to choose which one you want to attack as well. Now the fight button has actually been disabled, so that what they're actually teaching you here is the auto resolve. The auto resolve is the same as I think every game that's had a battle auto resolve in it is always been a bit problematic. You always seem to take more casualties, but that's the way it is.
The joy of battle. The hamlet of Tours is ours, my lord, and the spoils of war are quite a few trade goods and some silver too.
So every time you win a battle, you get trade goods, and click there. You've captured your first hamlet. The usual options are to destroy, loot, and capture the hamlet. In this case, we proceed to capture the hamlets in order to expand our holdings. Hamlets are... oops, that's gone. Sorry about that, guys. And what we need...
Praise the Lord, I found thee. I am thy trusted Chancellor? Ah, yes, I was warned you might not remember me. Otherwise, you'd have sought my advice before waging war. And now we're a hair's breadth from catastrophe. Our standing with our dear King Philip has fallen greatly due to attacking another French lord. If we are to take more from Count John, we must appease our king with gifts of silver or land. Otherwise, his highness will declare thee a rebel. Let me advise thee on how to increase our standing with the king.
So just going to click here.
There's something else, my lord. Gossip of betrayal in the French court. Robert of Artois is said to have defected to England, and our king's fleet at Marseille is no longer set for the Holy Land. King Philip may turn his ships against England. This does not bode well. If relations with England deteriorate any further, English loyalists in Anjou will threaten Orleans. Oh, the dark times we live in.
Now, notice that the tutorial's gone slightly out of sequence. I suggest you do this first. Don't worry about trying to capture the settlement. Your Chancellor holds his finger on the heartbeat of European federal and political relations. As a minor lord in your service to your king, remember your monarch's political views and ambitions. Fight his enemies and keep the king's peace with fellow lords of your kingdom. If you go against your king's wishes, your standing will fail. If it falls into negative territory, your own kingdom will declare war on you. And this is a balance that you've got to do in the game, because to grow your power base within the kingdom, you've got to attack the lords of your own king, but at the same time you've got to keep everybody happy, and to do that we need to come into here.
Trust in my discretion.
There's the Chancellor's window. You will see all the nations and monarchs and their feudal dependent lords. Select the Kingdom of France under King Philip's portrait. You will see that your current standing is extremely low. Improve your standing now by using the diplomatic options to send a gift of silver to your king. Only in the game your diplomatic options are limited to bribes and gossips, but as you rise through the kingdom's hierarchy you will unlock more diplomatic options. You may even one day capture the throne. I'm really looking forward to seeing that mechanic develop. And what you get is all the lords here, and the bottom row is the king here. So these are the kings of all the factions. You can see we're at peace with everybody. And then above here you actually get all the lords, including yourself. But because we clicked on the king, we got here, and what we're going to do is just give him a gift. And I think our standing is 0, and we've got to get it to 20, isn't it? So okay, why can't we? So we're gonna have to get some more taxes.
To plainness, honor's bow.
And this is something that's slightly annoying with the screen, is that it always defaults back to England. And I wish in some ways they would fix this so that the default is always the kingdom that you're actually playing, because I could have come in here and, I mean, obviously the Kingdom of England hates us and clicked on that by mistake. So what you need to do is always remember to go to your realm, and that should be it. So we've now boosted our standing, and we're just going to come down to here, and we're just going to drop down here, and we're going to capture the hamlet of Bourges. And I think I'm just going to
tight to their midships, my lord.
And I think, oh no, diplomacy. Open the Chancellor window. Oh, so can't actually do it that way. So we're just going to have to attack the town here. And we're just going to auto-resolve this. Got some more resources.
Did you see them run, my lord? The hamlet of Tours is won. The Lord of Bluis is victorious. We looted quite a bit of silver and trade goods. It'll come in handy.
Sometimes the tutorial pauses a little bit.
Reclaimed his ancestral lands. Sinister events were unfolding in the kingdom. One French noble, a certain Robert of Artois, betrayed King Philip, sailed for the English shore, and warned King Edward of England about Philip's abandoned crusader vows. Furious, King Philip ordered the fleet he built for the crusade from Marseille to the English Channel. King Edward struck back. He encouraged his followers in Anjou to rise up against the French, sending word far and wide that landless sons and opportunists were welcome to come and claim new estates for themselves. He wanted to delay Philip's armies near Orléans before they could take the field. Philip held the Channel, but the English already had forces on the continent. A war that would last 100 years was coming.
Bless thee, my lord. I have important news. A well-armed force loyal to England has just arrived to reinforce Romorantin. We'll need a much stronger army to siege the hamlet now, and that will cost dearly. We also need to unlock several military technologies. So it looks like our only way forward is to properly build up Bourges and Tours into strong economic centers. Luckily, our king has sent us a generous grant of silver, returning your gifts in kind.
There we are. At the end of each month, your expenses are subtracted from your income and the balance is added to your treasury. This monthly income is separate from the tax income. Most of your military buildings and army units create monthly expenses, while livestock, serfs and economy builders provide income. To get the economy out of the red, you need to rebuild hamlets of Bourges and Tours from war centres to economy centres, demolish their wall buildings and construct several new economic buildings to unlock the blacksmith. To unlock the blacksmith and armour, you use the steward's menu to research the appropriate technologies. So our army's here. We've got loads and loads of cash, because this section of the tutorial is about the basics of developing your minor settlements or even your large cities, but it's going to be done with silver as opposed to going in and manually doing it. The first thing we need to do is unlock blast furnace and cold forge in the steward menu.
How mayest I make improvements?
So I think those are the military ones, so we're just going to need to come here. I think, what's this? That's fletching. Apply class. Okay, where is it? Okay, maybe they're not military ones. Oh, that's blast furnace. Yeah, they're not military ones. And that's cold forge. See, this one unlocks the blacksmith. We're just going to unlock that, and this one unlocks the armourer. Yeah, so it's research and defence. Yeah, that's my fail there, guys. We need to destroy the military buildings in. We just demolish that. Demolish these out. And we need to collect a barn and a storehouse here. So the barn, we might as well do it all in one go. There's unlock cities and hamlets to increase the size by upgrading hamlets and level. Yep. level 1 to level 5, and a small town will increase the tax revenue. And I think we can. We got things, so we're just going to upgrade the city a little bit. The only way to upgrade a settlement is with cash, and I think we can come to tours and just demolish this. So we're just going to knock that out, and we're going to put a barn in here and a storehouse. And it says we need an armourer. I'm not sure. Well, we can upgrade the settlement, and then we can put a. I don't know whether you need one in each, but demolish a blacksmith in here, and the armourer as well. And I suppose we better put one in here. I'm kind of burning through the cash, so well, we'll put the armourer in, and well, it says that's actually gone, so I don't think we need to do any more. I think it says we need a stone camp and an iron mine here. So we'll just put an iron mine in there and a stone camp in here. And I think we can upgrade the city again. And I think we're just going to go to tours. We already got a stone camp in here, so if we upgrade the city again, should be able to put an iron mine in here. I think it's just checking the settlements to see how it actually goes. Oops.
My lord, a moment. I bring word from King Philip. His Highness is gravely concerned about the situation here. English loyalists are plotting a move against Orleans, and we have a loyalist army reinforcing Count John of Maine in Romorantin. So Philip has ordered his trusted vassal, Marquis Henry LeBlanc from Toulouse, to outfit an army and assist us. His orders are for you to bring an army of at least 100 strength to Romorantin to reinforce Marquis LeBlanc. Here's the silver His Highness spared for this endeavor. Spend it well.
Was that the Chancellor leaving? Odd fellow. So, I just got word. This will be a proper battle. 4 lords of renown, each fielding a large army. Well, let's prepare. Construct a siege workshop, a stable, and an archery range in Orleans. Train us a full army of mixed troops and some siege weapons. Be sure to unlock ballista and fire arrows with the steward. We'll need that. And don't forget a few serfs and some livestock. This will be a long siege, so build a proper siege camp and get our men something to eat.
So the tutorial seems to have jumped ahead a little bit. It's almost like I fulfilled those requirements on the previous step without actually fulfilling them. There's when outfitting an army with future warfare, consider entering the town and construct and train units directly in the city. However, we must outfit our army using the world map, balancing armies to combine different types of units: siege, melee, and ranged, and cavalry. There's strength and penalties applied to armies with unbalanced unit rosters. Oh, that's interesting. Now we've only got 7,500 gold. When we got some taxes, it's going to bring our army back. We shouldn't get attacked there, so we're just going to collect the taxes.
Trim and tight to the midships, my lord.
I think it's worth saying that in the release notes they actually state that the tutorial is not completely finished. And to be honest, recruiting a few peasants, or any of you not familiar, what you do is you literally come in here and you can just grab a few serfs in here. I think what's actually happens is that is triggered by the fact that the settlement's already got 2 serfs, 2 chickens. So that's it. So what we need to do is construct all available buildings in Orleans. So we're just going to do that. Now we've already got a barracks there, so we don't need anything else. We strongly recommend that siege armies include at least a couple of serfs and some livestock. This allows you to set up a siege camp. Well, we can do that while we're at it actually. So we'll start by get a couple of. We've already got some serfs in here. And we've already got quite a lot of food, so I'm not sure. Anyway, let's just try and get this into sequence first. siege workshop, stable, and we already have an archery ground in here. I'd really would like an archery ground. So we got a church. Yeah, where's the archery ground? Yeah, we got the cash for that. Need to research common military fletching and burning pitch. Just going to come in here.
What a piece of work is thy realm, my lord.
I think we can find common military, so we need fletchings, so we need that, and burning pitch. And this is how the research actually flows. We've done that. To add 2 serfs and 2 livestock to the army.
Your careened Carrick standing ready.
So yeah, so what I need to do now is come in here, and we need to just going to recruit. Actually, we could transfer some units because I created those extra ones tonight, so that we should be able to just drop these guys in. Got a pig, we'll just drop that in, and
Carrick ready to set
if I
sail.
can recruit a unit, it may seem a bit strange, but you do need to recruit a unit here. I'm just going to do that. Add 2 horse carts to the army. Okay. My army's a bit full at the moment, so that's because I built a few too many. But I think we can solve that problem by putting some of the really damaged units into this army here. And because they're only going to die anyway, so we might as well put them like that. And we can now come in here and we can recruit some more units. We need a couple of horse carts. Horse carts are used for transferring goods. And add several siege weapons to the army. Oh, all we got is battering rams, so. So we got a couple of catapults that looks like they're damaged.
This will be a battle to remember. Stand strong, my lord. We came a long way from our failures at Aberdeen. This time we are the ones laying siege. With God's help, to arms!
Trim and tight to their midships, my lord.
Let's move a bit closer in. So we got to attack Romanthin, that is, so we're just going to attack. And this time the auto resolve is disabled and we got to fight this. When fighting with 2 armies, whether they are both yours or one is an ally's, the second army is always controlled by the AI. Most sieges are long battles, all involve armies that have built up siege camps, collect resources and acquire more troops in mid-battle. In regular gameplay you can always save the battle to resume later. During the tutorial you can only save at the end of each scenario. So of course we're going to fight this.
In God's year 1336, the great powers of Europe began to move their liegemen and armies against each other like chess pieces. King Edward occupied large tracts of land on the continent, and local lords had mixed loyalties. Some sworn to France, some to England, some to both, while the more opportunistic ones made their own moves. The siege of Romorantin was but a tiny event on a greater canvas. 2 French lords, Count Guy de Chatillon and Marquis Henry Leblanc, besieged a minor hamlet occupied by Count John of Maine, and an army of English loyalists from Anjou had arrived to fight alongside Count John for now, but with plans of their own, no doubt. For the people of Romorantin, it was a nightmare.
My lord, 'tis a beautiful fall day. Nice and cool, great for battle. Your knights won't get wet from sweating in full armor. Well, unless they have to piss. But better pissing in your armor than being unprotected, eh? Well, let's get to it. Marquis Henry Leblanc has pitched his camp on our right. And above us, across the swamp, we have the hamlet of Romorantin. To their left, the English loyalists have pitched their camp. So I made some last-minute changes to our army. What do you think of the new battle order?
Yep, they've obviously changed the army constituency, so fine, we'll plan our attack.
Aye. To business. We have a problem with our ally, the Marquis LeBlanc, as he only brought a few trebuchets. No rams, no towers. So we must use our siege weapons to get his men into Romorantin. Also, it's likely the English loyalists will charge us first. We'll have to fight them off before we launch our siege. Let's construct a siege camp and be ready for the long, drawn-out battle. Need some basic economy for that, as well as a palisade wall and a few buildings. Let's to it.
Away we go. So here we are.
Some of thy workers are doing nothing, my lord.
Yep, that message is quite common, and the first thing you want to do is actually get these guys working past there's the livestock, and we're just gonna get these guys chopping trees down with that cart there. They'd explore the real-time structure. Yep, sorry about that. I'll talk about this. I know the mechanics. What you need to do is get your serfs gathering food and wood as fast as possible, and this is the building that we actually need to build the palisade. It's saying we need to construct the palisade straight away. So to gather resources, you need your serfs who are created in the manner that they can loot corpses, slaughter livestock, chop down trees, take part of townhouses. Serfs are the core of your siege battles, because if they're not gathering food and wood, you will not be able to recruit new troops. So there's something you need to do. So building construction limited plots located in the city. Most buildings consume wood and stone resources, and you need to be researched with your steward on the world map. Let's continue with constructing an iron mill, a stone mill and a barn. And again, building the economy is very, very important. So you need to get these underway as quickly as possible. So we're just going to build a barn here, and we need just going to get iron is needed for recruiting your higher tier troops. So I'm just going to build that there. I'm just going to get these built up there as fast. So we've got other buildings over here, probably there, and the settlement up here. Just a bit of reference here, guys. This is a fully leveled up level 5 hamlet because it's got the inner war. There's, let me just get back here. I mean, I don't know if the pause will work. Yep. I'm going to just pause it. It says to implement local technology such as fire arrows that will generate additional troops and siege weapons, we need to construct a barracks, archery range and siege workshop. Fire arrows are vital to the battles, so once you finish constructing an archery range, you need to be prepared to implement them. We only need to do this once. When an army learns it, when an army learns a certain technology, the knowledge carries through into future battles. Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that. We're just going to come in here. I'm going to build an archery range straight away. I'm not sure how much we got in the way of resources, and then we're going to build a barracks.
Thy workers have completed a building.
Oh, right, I'm just going to let it run again, and it pays to build siege buildings close, and I've actually built them the wrong way round, so never mind. We build it there. We're probably not going to need the siege workshop that much anyway. You can see our garrison is building up here, and
a building has been finished.
And what do we need here? Yeah, we need fire. So we need to get these built up first. If you have spare resources, try upgrading your buildings. This will increase the output of economy buildings such as mines. Military buildings will produce units faster and cheaper, and newly created troops will have a higher starting level. You can also check the upgrade buildings tooltips and learn more about the benefits of upgrading buildings. This is probably not so important in siege battles, because what you want to do in siege battles is knock out your troops as fast as possible. But when you're developing your main settlements, getting level 5 military buildings is quite important, because that means you end up with level 5 troops. So that's something to remember. The archery is just fine. What you can do up here is actually find the troops, and you can actually group them, but that's part of the tutorial. It's going to come there. We've got the barracks, we've got the siege workshop, the archery range is still building, so we need to develop that. Yep. Okay, we've now completed the archery range. it says here we got to upgrade it, and the way you do this is local technology. Now local technology is a way to gain access to technologies before they're actually conducted in the main research. It's quite useful in the early stages of the game. Now I think these guys are locked at the moment. I can't move them, and that's I think is related to the tutorial. I was just going to upgrade this. I suppose I could, just to show you, we come to the iron camp here. You can see here we can just upgrade it, and that comes to level 2. We can come here. I mean, level 2 stone camp. Iron camp is quite important when you've got high level troops.
My liege, the camp is a thing of beauty. Now assign our soldiers to groups to make them easy to command in the heat of battle.
And the quickest way to assign groups is if you come here, and then if you press, it says down here, you press go control 1, that makes our archers there.
My lord needs
So we can just come across here. Apologies, I'm not reading the notice. We've got our Voltiers there.
Is trouble brewing?
And we can put our macemen in group 3. That's just basically what it's saying down the bottom there. It means that we can move our troops around. The first one here is serfs, and there's not much point in doing that. What you want to do is keep your macemen back, and of course we've got a few slots. Try arrow tasking lining troops, and what we're going to do is put these guys on.
Arrows of fire.
I don't think we actually need that at the moment. I mean, we could actually, we'll just stick to the tutorial.
It's starting! The Marquis LeBlanc will hold by the walls of Romorantin and wait for you to send in your siege weapons. And I was right about those English loyalists. They're rushing forward to attack our camp. Use everything we've got to repel them. Either position your troops inside the camp or fight them in the swamp out front. And get your siege weapons out to help the Marquis. But be careful. Keep them far away from enemy arrows. Also, keep an eye on our silver stockpile. No silver means no wages for the soldiers, and we'll be forced to abandon the siege.
The reference to the silver is up in the top left here. You can see that that ticks down over time. Right, so these guys are coming in.
Await your orders. Stand ready, men.
Thy soldiers are under attack, my lord. Thy gleaming sword must out upon them.
Brewing.
Swing 'em, boys.
I think we can curve
Awaiting your orders.
our macemen round here.
Move those iron balls.
Look alert, boys.
And what I'm going to do is start moving my siege engines here. Now it looks like they're imprisoned, but they can mysteriously move through walls. But
Gathering up.
come on.
Ram standing by.
Okay, maybe we
All
need to.
men with heavy oak. Gathering up.
All right, maybe we got to defeat the battle here first.
We are attacked. Trumpet sounds to horse away. My soul's in
My
arms
lord
and
needs
eager
you
for the
here.
fray.
Oh, we shall decimate them.
Actually,
Awaiting your orders.
you guys push through here.
Bougiers
You
await
guys,
your
Bougiers, you just keep these guys pinned.
Nice men, attack!
Good oak and matlets here.
I think we can.
Ram standing by.
I think we can start.
Ship the ram over here. Ram.
Why won't that ram move? Oh, yeah, they're moving now.
Ready to smash 'em, sir.
My lord needs bougiers.
I'm not sure why those guys are.
Thy troops are attacked, your grace.
Release your
O
arrows,
war,
lads.
thou son of hell.
Looks like we're getting a little bit of assistance from this point of view. So I think these guys can move over. I think what we're aiming at is getting our siege engines up here. So
Matlets on the move. Look alert, boys.
Nice men, attack!
what we got down here,
We await our orders.
macemen, You get up there and enjoy
Rain
the
death
battle.
on them.
Will not die well in this.
Move these guys up towards
Into
this direction.
position.
Awaiting your orders.
Bowman.
Get to it, boys.
I was just gonna let those guys finish off the good work. I've lost a few troops. Let me just see.
Lock your arrows, men.
Hey.
We held them off, but took some losses. Trained fresh troops and start advancing, Lordship. You can either try to assault the English loyalist base, take them out of the game, or protect the ever-cheerful Marquis' flank. And be sure to get your serfs into that swamp to loot those corpses.
I think to do that we're going to need to recruit a new serf to do that. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to move up against the enemy walls. I mean the siege camp is up here, but we can actually just keep moving our troops up, and I think we're going to smash our way through the front door here.
Stand behind us.
Right, let's just move these guys up.
A message from the Marquis LeBlanc has arrived.
Yeah.
I'll read it. Ahem. Where in bleeding hell are your siege weapons?
My
They're
lord,
on the
men
way.
my
are
workers
slaughtered
need to
like
be given
pigs.
jobs.
Hurry, you drooling idiot.
What you want to do when you're recruiting troops in a battle, especially in a siege battle, try and set the valley point before you start recruiting. That means the troops will move in automatically.
Release your arrows, lads.
Cry havoc,
My
sir.
lord needs
Um,
his
Battle
ears.
comes unbidden.
Right, let's get task them to looting the corpse.
Vougers await your orders. Move as
Why won't that move?
put your backs into it.
These guys up.
Strong men with heavy
Bring
oars.
my siege towers forward. Oops.
Our siege weapons are in position.
Oh, I didn't get them in
Now
position,
we go
so
for the walls. Attach your belfry siege towers to the walls for the Marquis' men to climb them, while using the ram to assault the city gate. And don't forget to position your mantlets to provide cover from enemy arrows.
okay.
We're in the courtyard.
I'm getting a little bit ahead here, guys. So apologies for that.
And get them attached to the stone walls. For our noble Count de Châtillon.
But you can see what they're actually aiming at.
We hear and obey. Put your backs into it.
Battering up.
Engage power.
Bowmen, stand ready.
So we've got to protect the English flank.
Ram standing by.
Is that broken yet?
Strong men with heavy oars.
Right, let's just push through.
Very funny.
I don't know if I can push
It's
that.
a joke, sire.
Right, just keep bringing
Rams
the
standing
rams up.
by. Ready to smash them, sir. Ram
Go after that
into
wall there.
position.
I did have a mantlet here somewhere. I just don't know where it's
Ready
gone.
to siege.
Lock your arrows, men.
I think. Well, let's just get involved in this
Are doing it.
siege battle, and just get back here. Let's send up some more troops. I've got plenty of resources, so I think. And of course, I didn't set a rally point. That's me talking about setting a rally point, and I didn't do it.
Is this a joke, sire?
But my ram has got destroyed, so we're going to have to bring up another
Ready
one.
to smash them, sir.
Rams don't last very long,
Battering up.
especially under missile fire like this, so you do need to make a few. So again, I think what we're going to do is just grab here. Let's set the rally points up here, and then just get back to here, and you can find.
Vougers are present.
Let's get a couple going like that.
Can
We
get
are
new
attacked. The
boots?
trumpet sounds to horse away. My eager for the fray.
Is trouble brewing?
Bring these guys up.
Ram standing by.
Right, rams just keep feeding through.
Is this a joke, sire?
There's my archers.
Bowmen stand ready.
Bowman.
Douse them arrows.
These guys can just keep piling in. I think that will work. Nope, actually, let's just follow the example here.
Arrows of fire.
Just gonna think we can burn that down. Actually,
We hear and obey. Put your backs into it.
yeah, it's now letting me move that.
Some of
Just
my workers need to be given jobs.
yeah. First thing, you won't loot bodies. Just go and chop wood. You always need loads and loads of wood here. So, how are we doing on the gate? Yeah, it's a bit of a slow process, but we're now getting the belfries
Joke, sire?
in here.
Your arrow. The Lord.
We move.
Guys, move in. Got a few more troops here.
boys. Maces, move
When you fight battles with an ally, it can get a bit confusing over who's who.
Swing 'em, boys.
This won't engage the wall, will it? Okay.
We have breached the
Right,
inner
we've breached the
keep walls.
gates.
Onward, we
I
must
think the
capture the
trebuchets
town
hitting
flag.
the town gate
Victory is
helped
at hand,
more
my liege.
than anything else. Right.
We'll wait our orders.
Right, I think we're going to force the walls. Get in there.
Awaiting your orders.
Basement in
Maces,
as well.
move out.
There's my archers.
Bowmen stand ready.
Bowman.
Rain death on them.
Oh, that's already destroyed. Okay.
We'll wait our orders.
Okay, we'll attack that one. And what you see is the archers taking down this building very, very
Troops are
quickly.
being attacked.
For that.
Hot
See?
coals of vengeance now upon them.
Our banner is atop Romorantin. This is victory, my lord. Ha! The remaining English enemies scatter to the wind like chaff. Bloody business that was. So many townsfolk dead. And there's bad news. Some of the English prisoners told us of a large force marching from Toulouse to Orléans. We'll need to prepare Orléans for a siege using whatever trade goods we find here. Let's be off to the world map, where we'll force march to Orléans.
Yeah, this is the introduction to the next stage. So effectively, that is it for this video. We're just going to come in here. And you can see we've got our reward. Strictly speaking, we haven't won the siege just yet.
Trouble brewing?
I mean, because you can see here, but we're just going to click the world map and exit. Before the storm.
Of Normandy was gutting trade and threatening.
This cinematic is introducing the Siege of Orleans. I'm not going to cover that in this video because it's quite a long siege, and I would like to play it at a slower pace than just trying to cram it on the end of the video. So that would be for the next part, and this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it interesting, and until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.
But that would